What's up, South Shore? Hey, I just wanted to check back in with you guys and provide some weekly encouragement. I know everybody enjoys a good story. Am I right? When you get together with family, with friends, I think it's just one story after another. Who's got the best one, who can top the other one. But what I've noticed about reading the Bible is that Jesus was an amazing storyteller, the best actually. But his stories weren't just pointless things that he's talking about or just his experiences in life. All of his stories had a purpose. Sure, they were entertaining, sure, they were interesting, but there was always something below the surface. So over the next couple of weeks, what I want to do is look at a couple of Jesus' stories, or parables, as the Bible calls them, and just talk about what they mean. And as we do this, just keep in mind that there's always symbolism in these stories. There's always someone who represents Jesus, and there's always someone who represents you. And then a lot of times there's other characters that represent different people, and it's kind of fun to try to figure out who those people are. So today we're going to read from Matthew chapter 25, starting in verse 14. For it's talking about God's kingdom, it will be like a man going on a journey who called his servants and entrusted to them his property. To one he gave 5 talents. Now, that literally means money, but for our purposes, we're going to think about this word talent as a literal talent, like a skill or an ability, okay? To one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, to another 1, each according to his ability. Then he went away. He who had received the 5 talents went at once and traded with them, and he made 5 talents more. So also he who had the 2 talents made 2 talents more. But he who had received the 1 talent went and dug in the ground and hid his master's money. Now, after a long time, the master of those servants came and settled accounts with them. And he who had received the 5 talents came forward, bringing 5 talents more, saying, Master, you delivered to me 5 talents. Here I have made 5 talents more. His master said to him, Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a little. I will set you over much. Enter into the joy of your master. Now we'll skip a couple of verses because the exact same thing happens with the guy who was given 2 talents. He's praised by the master, and then we get to the 1 talent guy who wasted his talent and did nothing with it. Verse 26, But his master answered him, You wicked and slothful servant. Then you ought to have invested my money with the bankers, and at my coming I should have received what was my own with interest. So take the talent from him and give it to him who has the 10 talents. For to everyone who has will more be given, and he will have an abundance. But to the one who has not, even what he has will be taken away. And cast the worthless servant into the outer darkness. In that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Now, that story takes a little bit of a crazy turn at the end, right? The master gets really angry with the 1 talent guy. And so the question is why? Why does he get so mad? It makes sense to me that the 2 guys that invested their talents would be like they put them to good use and they're praised for it. That makes sense to me. And honestly, it makes even more sense to take the 1 talent guy's talent and give it to the other guy because he's just wasting it. But why get so mad? Why get so angry about it? Well, he's mad because this is a parable, right? It's a story and it has meaning, and it's not really just about money. So think of it this way. Now, let's imagine that I am the 1 talent servant and God has given me a set of skills. Maybe God has given me the skill of leading a group of people, of being able to explain the Bible to people in a way that's really understandable to them, or maybe being able to organize and lead a small organization around the cause of sharing Christ. What if God had gifted me with that and I dug a hole in the ground and buried that talent and never used it? See, that's what the story is really about. It's about me and it's about you. Because God has given us certain skills and certain abilities, and if you don't use them for His glory, then they're wasted. And because I saw how that story ended, the guy being completely cast out, there's no way I'm going to end up like that. And so what about you? You don't have to become like a youth pastor or a missionary or something like that in order to use your skills and talents for God's glory. You can do that right now as a student. Even as a student in the summer, you're not even in school. You don't have to even be good at something to use that thing for God's glory. When I was in high school, I was a very mediocre basketball player, but I made a commitment to Christ to glorify Him when I stepped foot on that court and when we practiced as a team. So please understand that you do not have to be best at something in order to honor God with that skill, with that talent. See, losing and failing at something is also an equal opportunity to glorify God. When you can succeed with grace and also fail with grace, then you know God is helping you use your skills and your talents for His glory. And so whether it's like surfing with friends, just casually, whether it's working a job at a juice bar, whether it's playing on a sports team, even if you're like the worst player on the team, whether it's talking to your neighbor, whether it's interacting with your brother or sister, or even being the best, fill in the blank, whatever. God has placed you where you are so that you can honor Him and give Him glory in whatever you do. So students, I just want to challenge you. Spend some time with God this week, asking Him to help you know how to use your talents for His glory. And maybe you haven't even figured out exactly what God has gifted you with, but spend some time this week seeking the Lord. Ask Him to show you what it is that you have and how you can use it for His glory. Students, I hope you take that challenge, and we'll see you next week.